Commander, I think it's time we talk about legacy content. This week, Dimon2323 put out a video that made a really strong case for unlocking Professor X before Mephisto or Odin. And I'll be honest, I agree with that strategy 100%. But as I looked at it from a fresh account perspective, from the eyes of a new player in today's Marvel Strike Force, I realised something. We can go even further. I'm talking about skipping Apocalypse, skipping Super Skrull, and maybe even skipping some of those legendary characters like Old Man Logan and even Shadow King. This isn't about ignoring those powerful characters, it's about understanding where this game is heading and making smarter, forward-focused decisions that match the new Age of Annihilus. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through that strategy. We'll break down what Dimon got right, where I'm taking the next step, and how I'm putting all of it into action on my new baby account, starting right now. Let's talk modern progression and leave legacy grinds in the past. So let's talk about the Professor X Saga and what its design tells us about where Marvel Strike Force is headed. This saga isn't just a checklist of character requirements, it's a progression roadmap. It's nudging you hard towards building the newest teams in the game. Take the Gladiator section here, which is the city section, for example. Raid rules in this are turned on. That's not a coincidence, that's a design choice, and it rewards players who've built the new Vigilantes team. That bonus isn't subtle, it's a signal. This is Scopely telling you, build teams that belong in this new era of Marvel Strike Force. In fact, they even told us directly. Remember that inbox message we got before the event started? So what makes the Professor X Saga such a great starting point to plan your roster around? Well, it's not just about the rewards, it's about the message. This saga is designed around the future of the game, not the past. Now, if you're a newer player, let's be real. Professor X is still a long way off. You'll need to hit Commander level 105 and bring characters to level 105 and gear tier 20 just to attempt some of the later nodes. And that's not happening within your first 30 or even 60 days. And honestly, that's a good thing. Because the saga is so far off, it gives you something rare in Marvel Strike Force: room to pivot. You don't need to rush into building these characters now. You just need to know who overlaps with the current raid teams and who will help you through the Mythic unlock paths. You're not chasing that legacy content, you're planning a roster that is going to grow with the game. So as you climb through levels and collect resources, you'll be working towards characters who help you in the raids and fit your Cosmic Crucible and War Squads, and also, in part, help you to unlock the legacy mythics that are in Dark Dimensions 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8. You're building with intention. You're not locked into dead teams just to check boxes. And that's why I'm not rushing to build my Xavier teams right now on the baby account, but I am letting this saga shape my direction. And when new characters drop, if they align with this path, I can pivot without wasting a single piece of gear. That's the value of Professor X. He's not just a mythic unlock, but he is your compass. And if you want to start planning your Professor X team or any mythic unlock, there is a great free tool you should be using. It's built right into the official Marvel Strike Force website. Just head over to your account if you've got it linked, hit the little hamburger button here, go into your roster, and on the planners tab here, you will have access to plan any of the sagas and the Dark Dimensions. So you've got the Professor Xavier saga here, and you've got Dark Dimension 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can check which characters are eligible for each section, and it's a great way to map out your roster goals without wasting resources. So let's take a tour through the Dark Dimensions in Marvel Strike Force, and we're going to start off at Dark Dimension 2. which gave us Ultron, who actually has never really been, apart from when he was first released, he's never actually been a great character. In fact, he was completely benched when he got his rework for his team, the Masters of Evil. But the good news is about this Dark Dimension is that you can just use your Vigilante raid team, which if you've watched my new player guide, link up in the top right hand corner here, you would see that that is the team that I am recommending you to build first off. So we get through Dark Dimension 2 very, very easily, but we're not going to put any resources into Ultron. Dark Dimension 3, this gave us Ultimus, who, if you had spoke to me about a year ago, I would have said, go after Ultimus with everything you had. However, with the knowledge that we have coming from the data mines now, I'm tempted to retract that sort of statement. So Dark Dimension 3, this is going to give us Ultimus. But again, we can build definitely one of these sections out of our city raid team. We can use our bio raid team here in the Thunderbolts, mostly in the global section, and having Hyperion in the cosmic section. And then we can use the new accursed characters and Quasar to fill out our cosmic and global section. So this is good forward planning. This is building characters that we know are going to be useful going forwards in the game. Now, Dark Dimension 4 is where the sticking point comes. And there are a few reasons for this. Now, Dark Dimension 4 will get you Doctor Doom. This isn't a character you need to unlock right away. This is a character that, until he is reworked, doesn't really get used very much within the meta. He is very, very niche. So we know we can clear the global section of this Dark Dimension using our Thunderbolt with Hood from the Accursed team. We also know that the cosmic section we should be able to clear with, oh wait, we can't put Quasar into this part of the cosmic section, so we are going to have to choose someone else. Now, one great choice, knowing that the Professor Xavier saga requires her to be built, would be to take Lilandra in this spot. She has to be built, so you might as well start building her. Now, you might notice here that there are 2 slots missing in the Legendary, and we will explain that a little bit later on. So now we're going to move over to Dark Dimension 5, and again, you can see we are using our city characters that we have used previously. We are using our global characters that we have used previously. We are using our cosmic characters that we have used previously. And we are in the same spot for the Legendaries. But again, I'm not worried about these 2 blank spaces at this point in time, because, to be honest with you, those characters will come out at a later date, and getting Dormammu, who was the reward from Dark Dimension 5, who again was meta a long time ago, and his revive mechanic was brilliant, but we have so many characters now that shut off revive. Hell, we have a whole team here in the Vigilantes that shuts revive off entirely. So, really and truthfully now, he's not a character that we need to be chasing. Moving on to Dark Dimension 6, where we would earn Super Skrull. Again, this is a powerful character, but unfortunately his stats are getting so stat crept nowadays that, is it really worth rushing to get him? I do not think so. So you'll see again, there is the non-Horseman Legendary section and the Legendary or Apocalypse section, which in all honesty, if you had Apocalypse, he absolutely carried this section. But the non-Horseman Legendary and the Legendary or Apocalypse section, we are going to sit down and wait for other Legendaries to come out before we tackle this. So we're not going to be going for Super Skrull. Now, one thing you'll notice here, this is Dark Dimension 7, where we would get Mephisto. And one thing you will notice here is that we have finally made a bit of a pivot. So our city section has kind of stayed the same. The only difference is now we have added Blade in, and that is because Blade is a by far better choice than Electra. And to be fair, you should have Blade being built up because he is part of your Night Stalker Mystic raid team. Our non-legendary and non-mythic global options at the present, so at time of recording, we would go for Liberty, the 3 new Liberty members, plus Songbird and Victoria Hand. And this is because we know that this works. Now, I haven't had a chance to test the other global characters, so I haven't had a chance to put Taskmaster and Ghost and also then the Hood into this section, but I'm pretty sure it would probably get through it anyway, to be fair. Then we come to the non-legendary and non-mythic cosmic section, and here, just to be safe, we are taking the Starjammers minus Rocket Raccoon, although you could take Rocket Raccoon if you wanted to, and we are taking Hyperion as he is that new character from our Bio Raid team. And again, legendary-wise, we're going to sit on this. And mythic-wise, we're going to have to sit on it because else we are going to have to put resources into building characters like Ultron, like Optimus, like Doctor Doom, like Dormammu, like Super Skrull, and possibly even like Apocalypse. But we are going to cover Apocalypse a little bit later in this video. Now, the requirements for Dark Dimension 7 is Commander level 100 or Character level 100, Gear Tier 19. That is a significant investment into potentially dead or dying mythic characters that are going out of the meta just to get another mythic character. And this is what we want to be doing. We don't want to be going after these legacy mythics when ultimately they're going to cost us. They're actually diverting us away from our roster. And last but not least, we're going to cover Dark Dimension 8, which is the Odin Dark Dimension. Now, this didn't require gear tier. This required Purple ISO 3. So a bit different. But there is still one section in this saga, or in this Dark Dimension, which has a sticking point, and that is this non-legendary city villain section. And why is it a sticking point, you might ask? Well, because the only team we have currently that we could take in here, we could take Electra. She's okay. But other than that, the only characters that we have that are pretty new is Red Goblin. We've got Lizard. We've got Spider Slayer. We've got Carnage. We've got Mysterio. We've got Vulture. All of these characters are all right, but they are characters who are very, very old. So again, this really is a section that we want to be waiting for something new to drop in the city villain section. From the, a new team to drop that has city villain characters in it that we can use to plug this gap. So until that happens, I wouldn't even be looking, certainly on my baby account, at going for Dark Dimension 8. This is one of the biggest reasons the Professor Xavier Saga is such a great anchor for long-term planning. Its flexibility. The trait requirements for this saga, things like City, Villain Global, Hero Global, Villain Cosmic, Hero Cosmic, they're broad enough that almost any new character or team that gets released can fit into at least one of the sections. That means if Scopely drops a new raid team next month, or a Crucible squad a few weeks from now, and they line up with these traits, you can pivot. You don't have to tear up your whole plan. You just slide the new team into place. And that's what makes this saga so valuable. Unlike the Apocalypse saga, which forced you into using very specific characters from the past, Professor X lets you future-proof your roster. You're not committing to yesterday's meta. You're building towards what's next. And actually, we do have a really good opportunity to look at this right now. So at present, I have just finished the Villain Global section of the Professor X Saga. The next section for me to go on to is Hero Global. After that, I'm going to be looking at Villain Cosmic and then finishing off with the Hero Cosmic, because that's how the saga works. However, with the rumblings that are coming from the data mines about a new arena team, this leads me to question, do I want to be building Thanos Endgame, Gore, and Gladiator? Now, luckily, because I haven't put any resources into these guys yet, I can pivot. I can pivot to someone like Satana, or Helverine, or even Baron Mordo, who, while might not be the most efficient for getting through the nodes, are going to be more efficient in long-term planning. And by long-term planning, we mean those characters with the Harbinger trait. So some of you keen-eyed people might have noticed that I missed off one of the mythics there, and that is Apocalypse. And again, this is a character that I think you should be skipping. And the reason for that is not because Apocalypse isn't a good character. He is. And he pretty much always will be, because of his ultimate ability followed by his empowered punch that he has. He will always be really, really good. The problem with this saga is that you are tied to building Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, and Archangel. Now, you only need to build these guys to level 90, gear tier 17, blue ISO 5 to be able to unlock the big Apocalypse. But here's the thing. You are investing those resources into 4 characters here. That is 4 characters, 4 new characters that you are going to be missing Mystic resources for. So that's possibly knowing that, you know, training materials is a crunch. Sometimes on baby accounts, gear can be a crunch. That could be training materials you're missing for a brand new team that will open up better content for you, the newer content for you. That is mutant gear that you could be using on a new mutant team. That is bio gear that you could be putting into the Thunderbolts team. That is more mutant gear that you could be putting into any other new mutant team that's upcoming. And that's really important. I think it's really important we acknowledge the fact that this is actually quite costly. So now that we've deciphered that we're not really going to focus on the Dark Dimensions on the baby account, we're only going to focus on this Professor Xavier saga because it's giving us a lot of time to pivot, and we're not building characters from useless classes, useless things like mythic characters that we won't use again, possibly. You know, Apocalypse, yes, I use in Arena. Is there another solution to Apocalypse in Arena? At the moment, probably not. Not as good as what Apocalypse is. But is he always going to be in Arena? Well, we know from the data mines that there is possibly a new Arena team just around the corner. And so will that mean that Apocalypse is then no longer needed in Arena? Quite possible. Mephisto, another great character, but has, you know, needs those mythic characters to be able to get him. Odin is preferable. He's a character we would like to get, but we're going to need to wait for those city villains to come round to a better position rather than having to build a team that's now nearly 2 years old. So we're going to focus on this Professor Xavier saga, and we're going to focus on the future. Now, I'm sure this next piece of advice will have people cringing, but hear me out for a second. So we have a lot of legendary characters in the game. Some of them you encounter quite early on. Some of them are on a rotation between like the Apocalypse legendaries and then the Nova Black Cat Green Goblin legendary. And then occasionally we get the other legendaries like Old Man Logan and Shadow King come around. And here's the thing. If you are a end game account like I am, and you've already got Old Man Logan unlocked, and 7-starred, more importantly, and you've got your Shadow King unlocked, and more importantly, you've got him to his 7 stars, that's great. And you've done really well there. But for a new baby account, I do not think that characters like Old Man Logan and Shadow King are going to be characters that I am going to be going for. Just like Nova, just like Black Cat, just like Green Goblin Classic, just like the Pestilence, Death, War and Famine trials. These are all things that I am not going to be concentrating on because of the resources that they require. Now let's take a look at the Old Man Logan trial, for example. So yes, you can unlock Old Man Logan by doing difficulty 15, just this first node right here, mission 1. And that will unlock him at 4 yellow stars. But if we want to max him out and get him to the 7 yellow stars, we have to build teams like Out of Time. We're not building them. We need to build teams like Cabal. Now, they're good for me as an endgame player who has them already built. But would I be building them when I get round to doing this Old Man Logan trial at difficulty 15? Which, let's remember, is based around being Commander level 100, Gear Tier 19. I'm not going to be building my Cabal when I get to that level at a baby account. Hero skill, fine. Cosmic bio, fine, not a problem. Villain, not a problem. So some of these nodes are not a problem, but these ones here, the Cabal and the Out of Time, those two are ones we don't want to be dealing with. And the same could be said about the Shadow King trial. Some of the nodes in the Shadow King trial are absolutely fine. But then we have the Illuminati nodes, an older Cosmic Crucible team. Great if you're an endgame player. Great if you were playing when Illuminati came out. But as time goes on, is that really going to be something you're going to want to be focusing on? No, it's not. Same with the Annihilator nodes. Great at the time when they were, but now we know that they're going to be on their way out as an arena team. Is this really something you're going to want to be building? Again, the answer is no. And the third big sticking point of the Shadow King trial is the mercenary stroke undying nodes. Now, those nodes were clearly built with Old Man Logan in mind. And a 4-star Old Man Logan isn't going to be able to hang at difficulty 15 of the Shadow King trials. So again, this is something that we need to be skipping, which is why you'll see those two sort of empty legendary spots that would have been taken up in most people's rosters by Shadow King and by Old Man Logan. Those two slots now for me are open on my baby account. So what will I be doing? Well, that leads us nicely into the newest age, the Age of Annihilus. And this is what I'm trying to say to everyone to build for. We have 3 legendaries coming out. We've already got Quasar. We've got 2 legendaries in the future, Chapter 2 and Chapter 3. Effectively, this chapter here, Chapter 1, was Quarter 2 of 2025. Quarter 3 of 2025 is going to be Chapter 2. Quarter 4 of 2025, so coming into the winter months, will be Chapter 3. And then Quarter 1 of 2026, we will see Annihilus. Now, we already know we got the Vigilantes. Oh, that's funny. I was putting them into the planner for using. Thunderbolts, again. Accursed. Yeah, it makes sense. We get the legendary Quasar. It's all making sense now, isn't it? And then we got a team 4 here. We then have another legendary in Chapter 2 with another 4 teams. And another legendary in Chapter 3 who will probably have another 4 teams. So we have plenty of scope on our baby accounts moving forwards. And we want to be focusing on this because Annihilus, he is going to be the next Mythic. He is going to be the Mythic that we are chasing. So rather than chasing backwards to get Mephisto, we're going to get him naturally. So from this baby account perspective, we're not rushing into legacy content just because it's there. Characters like Apocalypse, Super Skrull, even some of the older legendaries, they'll get unlocked naturally down the road when the teams we've already built line up with the requirements. We're not skipping them forever. We're just not warping our whole roster around content that doesn't move us forwards. The goal here is simple. Build smart, build towards the future, and let progression guide your priorities, not nostalgia. If you found this helpful and you want to dive even deeper into how I'm approaching this baby account from day one, check out my beginner guide video linked right here in the card. I think you'll love it.